Hello, I'm Kads, and welcome to today's video. Yes, it is a double upload kind of day because we have a lit up portal where we have the special event going on where it's a pseudo guaranteed summoning event for Michinaki. In honor of their 4th anniversary, this is the first time they're doing this variation where it's basically a guaranteed summoning event, but they're combining it with the rewards of a summon rush. So you can see here that we have 4 different nodes where we're combining all 4 to get 100 fragments, and in the end you will get Michinaki, a relatively awesome legendary champion. So if we take a look at his kit, you can see here on the A1 we have a 60% chance when booked of placing an HP burn, which will be very important when we get to his passive. On the A2 he has 100% chance when booked of placing decreased defense, but if the target is under hex then he'll also place decreased attack in the same move, which is great because his A3 here on a 3-turn cooldown when booked attacks all enemies 2 times, and the first hit will remove all buffs from the target, and the second hit will place that hex for 2 turns. So he's a good 1-3-3 champion, which means A1 is a 1-turn cooldown, obviously, and the A2 and A3 are both 3-turn cooldowns. So he'll have a clean cycle of 1-3-3 or 3-1-1 or 3-3-1 on his abilities. Now, what makes him a Demon Lord and Hydro Clan boss beast of a champion is this passive here, where when an ally attacks an enemy under a hex debuff, he has a 50-50 shot to team up and join the attack. So effectively, more often than not, you will get AoE HP burn just because he's just going to be attacking so much with the A1 whenever someone hits an ally under hex, and he'll be placing HP burn relatively reliably at a 60% clip. His aura is 30% defense in all battles, and he has relatively good base stats for a defensive base legendary. He hits decently hard, so you can consider him a kind of a damage dealer of sorts, and his base defense of 1465 facilitates that greatly, but he does also have a pretty high HP pool at about 19,000, and his speed is pretty decent as well at 101. As the damage dealing type of champion, he does get the little bonus to crit damage of 57% up from 50, the base rate, and he does get 20 accuracy as well to boost his accuracy a little bit, because you do need accuracy to land everything in his kit. So what do I want him for? As you might guess, Hydro Clan boss. I think he'll be an excellent way to, again, effectively get AoE HP burn, but he can also remove buffs. So if you get unlucky or the cleansing head cleanses, you can still strip, or the head of mischief spreads buffs. You can strip all buffs, head of wrath as well. You can strip all buffs off enemies, but you can also get the hex that you need to be able to target the head of mischief. In addition to that, of course, he's just your standard run-of-the-mill debuffer, basically a stag knight in terms of placing decreased attack and decreased defense, which are good for dealing more damage and taking less damage. So if we take a look here at the current shard count, you can see I have 436 on the ancients, 209 on the voids, and 58 on the sacreds. For those who might ask, yes, I am a pure free-to-play player. How do I have so many shards? Because I barely pull them. I wait for events just like this. So for all those who say I'm stingy, and I am relatively stingy, and frugal is the term I like to use, but let's say stingy. So because I'm so stingy, I do have a lot of shards saved up, and that allows me the flexibility to participate in events just like this one. So as it stands right now, the Summon Rush is going to cost a total of 10,000 points to be able to max it out. And you can see here the different points for each type of shard, which is pretty standard for the Summon Rush. You have 500 for Sacreds, 120 for Voids, 20 for Ancients, and 1 for Mystery Shards. Now, as you can see, I've already pre-pulled up to 1097, which is a very precise value. Effectively, 1,100 Mystery Shards have already been pulled, and that put me in a good spot. So my plan here is to get the remainder by pulling 20 Void Shards and then 13 Sacred Shards. That will get me to 9,997, and of course the last 3 I will get after the game resets at 0 UTC when you pull the 3 mystery, or when I pull the 3 mystery shards as part of the daily reset challenges quests. At this point, I do want to say that I definitely like this format more so than a traditional guaranteed summoning event, because on a normal guaranteed, they're kind of in the middle of the week, and so there's usually no rewards you get as a bonus. It is unfortunate that they did kind of thin out the Kraken row, as we call it down here, where there's normally, 3 legendary tomes and feasts and barrels and all that stuff. So they kind of thinned it out a little bit just to give us the fragment nodes. However, in the context of a normal guaranteed event where you get 0 rewards, I'd rather be able to walk away with a legendary tome, for example, and the legendary champion. In addition to that, 10,000 points is the equivalent of 20 sacreds, so it's not any worse than for Elva. However, it is better, like I said, because you get the rewards. But it's also better because you get fragments, meaning that the 20th shard, if you were to do all sacreds, for example, can still be some other legendary, and it doesn't have to be Michinaki. So I think that's an improvement, and I definitely endorse this approach going forward. Of course, also I should mention that it's a summon rush, so you get to pull any shard type you want. And so that's exactly the reason why I mixed some mystery shards, some void shards, and some sacred shards to be able to get this completed. But that's not all. In addition to all those bonus rewards relative to a guaranteed event, it is also a summon rush on the weekend, so we do have a featured 10x. The common theme here is ally protection, and I have basically all of these epics, so I'm not really looking for any of those. I do also have the pleasure of having a Necreth the Great, who's my first Void Legendary, fun fact, and so I obviously would take a second one if I got it, but pulling 20 in a non-2x, I don't expect to get a Void Legendary at all, and as you guys may recall, in my previous shard pulling video for 2x Void, we did get Coronar as our Mercy Legendary, and so I'm basically back to 0, so I don't expect a Void Legendary for a long time. For the 10x legendaries, I would love to get Snicktrack. I think he's very uniquely suited for the Iron Twins dungeon, so I'd like to use him there. And Kira the Watcher, I do already possess, but I would not as... She wouldn't be as hype as something else, but I would take her at the very bare minimum as a faction guardian. And Truoth, I'm not really that keen on. And from here, we will segue into my Mercy Tracker spreadsheet, where you can see where I am currently at relative to epics and legendaries. And the main thing to note, as I mentioned a bit earlier, is that we're pretty much fresh out of Mercy for Void, so I don't expect to get a legendary at all. We will, by pulling 13, I will definitely be in Mercy for Sacred, so there is a decent chance, not a guarantee, but there is a decent chance that we'll get a bonus legendary by pulling the 13, which will be 6 into Mercy. And what is kind of cool here is that we're basically in Mercy for Void epics as well, so I'm guaranteed at least 1 in the 20 shards. I'm not expecting a ton of Void epics, but we are guaranteed to get at least 1, and maybe the rest can be rares. Hopefully not, but that is potentially likely outside of a 2x. And as far as the champions I'm looking for on my account for the Void Epics, I would love to get Godseeker Neri one of these years. It will actually happen. And so if she is that one that I pulled, then I would be extremely satisfied with today's session. Michinaki is guaranteed, but aside from him, for legendaries, for non-Void legendaries, of course, I will take any of my girls, Xavier or Eleanoril. I would love some Poison Explosion, but I would also be in the market for a Valkyrie for the counterattack for Demon Lord Clan Boss, as well as Molly Tankard for the no contact provoke. Alrighty, let's get into the pulls. We've got the space, we've got the cash, and hopefully we've got some of that sweet luck. Let's go. Let's start with the voids. We're going to do 20, and then we'll move on to the sacreds, where we're going to pull 13. So the first 10 pull of the voids, where we're basically guaranteed to get at least 1 epic, hopefully soon. There it is, and it's Cardinal. Oh, I think I have... Actually, no, I don't think I do have a Cardinal. That might be the first ever. So, rip on the Aniri, but let's get the second set of 10. Of course, let me talk about her for a second. Cardinal, well known, more popular more recently in Stone Skin because of this revival here, which she can revive all dead allies, and when ascended, she can boost their turn meter to max, and max is the highest the turn meter can be, not 100%, it is higher than 100%, and so instantly, whoever she revives will go next. But let's continue here with the second set of 10 voids. I don't think I'm going to get a second epic, but that'd be pretty nice. And a non-2x Huntress is pretty neat. That will be useful for another Broadmaw fusion. So that is another 350 points in a future state. And yep, all rares as we expected. Renegade, of course, honorable mention as a mini Kymar as far as resetting for dungeon runs. So nothing that amazing from the voids there, but let's move on to the sacreds, and we're going to pull 13, so we're going all the way down to 45. Let's get into it. Right out of the gate, we're starting with a Lodric Falconheart, who is pretty well known for his 2-turn cooldown shield on a 2-turn duration, so he is perfect for the Scarab King if you need a shield champion to permanently keep a shield on your allies. Next up, we have another epic. Looks like a Snorting Thug who has basically nothing redeeming to say. So, nothing amazing on this champion. Moving on. Number 3 is another epic, Skull Crusher. We definitely hit the 10x on this one. He's well known for the unkillable ally protection and counterattack. Well, unkillable on himself, but ally protection on and counterattack on all allies. So pretty decent for early game, mid game, Demon Lord clan boss, but eventually he kind of falls off and you find a better team, whether or not you pull unkillable champions or you pull a better one of the counterattackers. Next up, we have another epic. Question mark? Confirmed. Gerhard the Stone, who's a relatively hard-hitting single-target damage dealer, and his passive makes him basically immune to all hard CC and a 3-turn cooldown. He hits really, really hard, but that's kind of it. There's not much more to his kit, unfortunately. Moving on. Next, we have our first legendary... No, okay. Epic. Looks like Kalia. Nothing redeeming about her either. I think she has like AoE heal reduction, which is not that powerful unless you do something else, and a 3-time at random HP burn. Yeah, that's a bit of a bummer. So not much to say about Kalia, not the best champion in the world. Another epic. We have Juliana, who was buffed somewhat recently as of this recording. I think this has a chance to place poisons. Yep, poisons if it's critical. And then this one can remove buffs and then place HP burn on a target for 3 turns. So slightly better. More suited now for like modern time Demon Lord clan boss, but still not really having that AoE ability, which would be a little bit better. Next up, we have another Snorting Thug. Well, he's not any better than last time, so moving on. Legendary. Oh, snap. Oh, wow. Trunda Guilt Mallet. She is new. She is obviously one of the best AoE nukers in the game, particularly known for the A2 was the one that's somewhat broken when used on certain enemies, like in the Hydra clan boss on the dead heads. But of course, in Arena, she just smacks everyone into the ground with this double hitter AoE when she does not place the stun. So that is kind of huge. I don't know if I'm going to use her that much, but she is there. So I do have one of the best nukers in the game. 5 sacreds to go. Can we get another legendary? I highly doubt it. But maybe we can go back to back. No, we're back to the epics. Okay. Maruka, I forgot what she does, honestly. She's a relatively new champion. I think she was the fusion champion for Nishak, actually. But, oh yeah, revive on death on a 4-turn cooldown. Amazing. And removes all debuffs from target ally and heals them by 50%. Basically like the Steel Skull ability or Urgrim ability. A little bit higher on the percentage. And then on the A1, place a decreased speed. Yeah, very underwhelming kit. I remember talking about her during the Nishak fusion time frame. So 4 sacreds to go. And let's see who is the next probably epic. Taragi the Frog, second hit on the 10x champions. He does have this amazing passive where every time he is hit, he has a 50-50 shot to place a poison debuff on the attacker. He's well known for the ally protection here, where he places a shield and reflect damage, but he also heals himself by 25% of his max HP, and it increases by 2.5% for each poison on the enemy. So if you stack a bunch of poisons, he can heal himself a lot more. On the A1, he does have decreased attack, which is the combination of these two abilities makes him very, very strong for an old school or traditional Demon Lord clan boss team. And he's actually in my team, to be exact. But outside of Demon Lord, he also does have this pretty cool AoE provoke ability here, where it starts off as a 50% chance, but it increases for each debuff on the enemy team. That does not mean on the unique target, that is debuffs on the team total. So all you need is 5 debuffs across the entire enemy team, and this is a 100% chance provoke on a 3-turn cooldown. So a little bit of CC, good amount of protection and damage mitigation. 3 shards left, here we go. Another epic, Warden. Warden is not exciting. I think he has reflect damage. He has the weak version of decreased attack and the weak version of increased defense. That is not what you want to see on an epic champion in today's day and age. And yeah, the AoE with reflect damage. Underwhelming, definitely needs a buff. Last 2 sacred shards, here we go. Another epic, the Black Bear Ursine Ironhide, who does have the decreased attack. There it is. AoE decreased attack, 100% chance on a 3-turn cooldown. or 4-turn cooldown. He can be useful in the the Skinwalker faction, but I think at this point he's kind of usurped by like the likes of Mighty Uko and Nishak Verminlord. So you have better options, provided you've been doing the fusions. You have better options nowadays. But if you need someone to decrease attack so you take a little bit less damage from the waves or the bosses, then Ursine Ironhide can be your guy. Run him at 50 though. And the final sacred is going to be another legendary pause champ. Oh, wow, it actually is. And it is Altan. Again. It is Altan again. Well, that is a faction guardian for barbarians, but that is a bummer on getting a dupe of Altan, who is very, very old school clan boss, decreased attack on the A1, increased defense on a 3-turn cooldown. So pretty standard run-of-the-mill champion for old school Demon Lord clan boss teams, but kind of dead in today's meta. But on the bright side, this does illustrate the point I made earlier about the 20th shard or the last shard, whatever, being able to be a champion who is not the guaranteed champion. So I still get Michinaki, and just by happenstance, the last shard I pulled also happened to be another legendary who was slightly undesirable, but nonetheless another shot at some different legendary. So let's double check my math here. We have gained 9,000 points today, and we should be exactly at 9997. Perfect, spot on. So let's collect all of our rewards here, and like I said, I'll get the last 3 fragments after the game resets at 0 UTC, and I will pull 3 mystery shards as normal as part of the daily quest, and that will get me exactly to 10,000 points. A little bit of min-maxing there for you guys, and I will have my very own Michinaki to summon probably during some future champ chase, because he is worth 500 points, so I'm not going to waste it by pulling him right now. So since I did just get a massive influx of anniversary points this past week, I did want to point out to all of you guys that I did manage to get all the way to the end. I know I'm not technically there, there's 500 points, but all I have to do for that is either continue to win my Classic Arena tournament that ends tonight, or continue on in the Ice Golem tournament going on right now with a 2x reflex, and that will give me 1,000 points. Either way, guaranteed to get the last 500 points because we have 6 days remaining, and I actually surprisingly made it all the way to the end. I thought I was going to struggle to get just to the tome, but lo and behold, here with about, a little less than a week to spare, we made it all the way to that sacred shard at the end. In addition to that sacred shard, the points also got us another immortal soulstone, which is a perfect segue into the tradition here of pulling our mortal and immortal or eternal, pulling our soulstones. There we go, that's the tradition. So I've got 20 mortal soulstones, and again, I do like to keep it even for the soul coins. That's just a personal preference. It's not a requirement by any means, but I just prefer to pull them in sets of 10. So even though I'm just under 30, I'm going to pull 20, and then we're going to pull the 1 immortal soulstone. So let's see what we get. First set of 10 is going to be a bunch of rares, because that's how it works here. 4-star on the mages, useless. 1-star everywhere. 1-star rare everywhere. 3-star on halberdier, not useful. 1-star on Tyrell. I do use him for faction wars, so that might be cruelty. No, he might actually have cruelty already. That might be a sell. I'll have to double check that later. Second set of 10 is going to be even more rares. Shocker. But maybe there's one legendary hiding in here. Looks like it. That's almost. Bergoth the Malformed on the Epic 2-star. I don't even have him, actually. He was a previous fusion. I think two years ago. Maybe 2.5 years ago. But nothing to show for there from the Immortals. We collect the coins here. And let's see. We have 1 Immortal. Come on, legendary, 5-star Herndaddy Soul. No, 3-star on the Seeker. I don't use him, but I definitely know a lot of people would love a 3-star for Cruelty and or Phantom Touch on their Seeker for their various clan boss teams. So useful, but not useful to me. So that's going to do it for today's video. In addition to Michinaki, we did manage to get to all of the rewards, the bonus sacred from the Anniversary Titan event, as well as 2 bonus legendaries along the way of varying degrees of desirability. I realistically can't complain too much because we did manage to get 2 legendaries and 13 sacred shards on a non-2x, so that's a pretty good rate when it's about 1 in 16, 1 in 17. So I'll take what I can get as always. If you enjoyed this video, then be sure to hit that like button down below, as well as that subscribe button down below for more videos like this one. Thanks for watching, and have a good one.